Several weeks back, I got an email from Paul Smith, who's the co-owner of the 29 Palms Inn, saying, and the email said, "Hey, don't you have claims in the saddle?" I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. So then a few days after that, I saw this in the newspaper. This was the 29 Palms newspaper. Park may go back into the saddle. So I read the article, and I was astounded. What they're talking about is annexing an area of 104,500 acres of public land that goes from 29 Palms all the way over to Clark's Pass, down Highway 62, and south all the way down to the border of Joshua Tree National Park. Now this may not mean much to some of you, but we have two claims inside that area. This is the Humbug claim. This red area is the area they know that's called the Saddle. We have the Humbug claim. We have the Lucky Nugget claim. Right? This area that's in brown is already considered wilderness area. It's the Pinto Mountain Wilderness area that Mary Bono, who's a Republican, believe it or not, got instituted a couple of years ago. Now, I'm going to go for my speech. I'm giving a presentation to the 29 Palms City Council on the 25th of this month, which is next Tuesday, countering what was a presentation that was given to them on the 11th by Paul Smith from the Economic Tourist Bureau of 29 Palms, Seth Steyer, who is a field representative for the National Park Conservancy Association, and Andrea Compton, I believe her name is, from Joshua Tree National Park. And they're all advocating the annexation of this area. And what they're saying is the National Park System will respect the miners, the off-roaders, and the geocachers, and campers out there.
Yeah. No, they won't.
And I can tell you this from past experiences, they don't give a damn about us. All they want is this property. And I think for underlying motivations. Now, part of what I'm going to tell you today is what I'm going to also tell the City Council. And I'm actually going to read from this. That gives me a little practice when I go up before the City Council. 2 weeks ago, Paul Smith from the Tourism Economics Commission, Seth Sider from the National Parks Conservancy Association, and Andrea Compton, Chief Resources National Park Association, Joshua Tree National Park, spoke about the wind turbines and energy fields that might surround 29 Palms area, and best how to protect the community from the wind turbines and solar fields. The best way they think they can protect the community is annex it into Joshua Tree National Park. And their presentation focused on three major points. One, a permit was let by the Bureau of Land Management to conduct tests in the south of 29 Palms area on the 29 Palms Mountain, Music Valley, and Gold Park districts. Two, annexing the saddle would be an economic boost to the Morongo Basin of $40 million. That got people's attention right away. And third, protecting the animal corridors that run through the saddle area. Now, in my presentation, I'm going to debunk each one of these things. And I'm going to start with the animal corridors. Now, on this map, you can't tell it very well, but there's a multiple group of animal corridors that supposedly run through this area. I spoke to a biologist out at the base from the Natural Resource Environmental Office aboard the Combat Center concerning migratory animal corridors. He admitted that he did not know very much about them, but what he did tell me was these are minor corridors. the major corridor that goes through the park, it goes out this area, through the mountains, up to the up to the Sheephole Mountains, and then on into the base, through the William Mountains and points north. He told me that these are minor corridors used by coyotes and smaller animals. What he did tell me, the bighorn sheep travel that route. The mountain lions, bobcats, they all travel that route. Said only minor critters go through that area. Now, would larger animals go through this area if there were no people around? Possibly. The only problem is you got Highway 62 up above here, and then this is Wonder Valley up above it. And Wonder Valley's getting bigger all the time. So I seriously doubt it. As for the permit for testing of wind turbines in the area south of 29 Palms, this purple area right through here is the area they were talking about. And that covers 29 Palms Mountain, Music Valley, and Gold Park Mining District. The permit has been rescinded. There is no permits outstanding right now for this to test any kind of wind turbines in this area. But they're still harping on it, and they're still using scare tactics in 29 Palms to get people to endorse their plan. Now, the third thing that I want to speak to them about would be the so-called $40 million coming into this area. That's what I thought. Now, Sis Steyer from the National Park Conservancy Association spoke in great length to the City Council and talked about how once this saddle area is annexed into the park, that they were going to build a 100-site campground out there, a small visitor center, improved trails, and improved roads. Now, the only place that I can figure where they would do this would be right on Gold Crown Road. And they're possibly talking about blacktopping the entire road from the Pinto Basin, which is down into here, all the way up. Now, the Economic Tourist Bureau in 29 Palms is pushing this because they are trying to make 29 Palms the gateway to the Mojave. And their plan is to be able to have people come up from wherever, drive through Joshua Tree National Park, come back out this area, go up Amboy Road into the preserve, and then points north into Death Valley. Now, they've already talked to places like the towns of Baker and Shoshone and Death Valley Junction, and they're all for it, because that means more people are going to be coming through their area, which means more money for them. Now, keep in mind they want to put a 100-site campsite out there. Now, I talked to a friend of mine who's also a member of this club, Bernie Jones, who's the vice president of a construction company. And what he told me was, what I did is I gave him the model of the jumbo campground up in Joshua Tree National Park, which has 75 campsites, 9 portable bathrooms in there, 6,500 feet of blacktopped highway, 75 parking areas. He told me to build something like that would cost $3 to $4 million. And that's not counting the permits that would be needed, the power, the water that would have to go into the area, and culverts and this sort of thing. And then I got to thinking about the larger mines that are in the area that have the cyanide-treated material, dirt that's around them. Now, cyanide was used during the turn of the century to extract the gold from the matrix. And there are millions and millions and millions of tons out there of cyanide-treated material. Now the surface of the area, the cyanide is biodegradable by UV rays. However, wherever the UV rays don't get to, which is under the surface, it's still toxic. So that means Joshua Tree National Park, to be able to put in a 100 campsite area out there with tourists from all over the world wandering all over these toxic areas, means they're going to have to clean that up. How much money do you think that's going to cost? Millions and millions. If they don't do that, they're going to have to fence it off. All right? Now, let's say the park does annex that area. And due to decreased funding, well, let me back up a little bit. Now, on the afternoon of 11th of September, the same day that they had a meeting at the city council, Greg and I attended a meeting with Chris Carrillo, who is a field representative for Dianne Feinstein's office. And he was basically talking about Johnson Valley and this sort of thing. What was said during that meeting, Seth Stiers from the National Park Conservation Group got up and told them that, let's see, for 2 years the funding of the national parks has decreased and are now facing cuts, including the looming threat of sequester scheduled for January 2013. If Congress does not agree on a deficit reduction plan, the national park system could face up to cuts up to 10%. What would most likely mean the closing of visitor centers, closed campgrounds, closed parks, and thousands of park staff out of jobs. But yet they want to turn around and build a $3 million campsite out in this area. Where's that money going to come from? Now, let's say the park does annex this saddle. Due to decreased funding, the 100 campsite is not built. Maybe no campsite is built. How's the park going to handle that? Any ideas?
Close it up?
Yeah.
Make
Make a wilderness area, all right? Nobody goes in.
That's exactly right. If they can't pay for it, and if they don't have the rangers to patrol it, they're going to turn it into a wilderness study area. The whole area. They'll close off Gold Crown Road. They'll close off Marblite Mine Road. They'll close off the road down here at the bottom. And they'll close off the road going into Gold Park and create a wilderness study area. And that means nobody goes in there.
Then they'll sell it to the Chinese.
Could be. Now,
Oh yeah, they would.
in no way, shape, or form, I don't care what they say, the National Park System is not going to respect our claims.
No.
There's 30, 40 years worth of history to back me up. You look at what they did up there to the Mojave Preserve. They told the cattle ranchers up there they could stay. They told them that there would be conduct mining, off-roading, and what can you do up there today?
Nothing.
Drive
They
through
just
it.
finally pushed out the XO Ranch out of that area. It's been up there for 120 years. And there's private property up there right now. In fact, one of the city council members has private property up there, and he did mention they're closing off all the roads. And that's just a preserve. Now, let's see. This is not only a matter of removing public land from the people, it's also a matter of freedoms. Now, each and every one of you has the right to get up and leave this meeting, not until after the food, of course. You have the right to leave this meeting, jump in your vehicles and drive out to Gold Crown Road. Drive 6 miles south into the heart of the Virginia Dale Mining District, and you have the right to, once you're there, you have the right to set up your campfire, set up your tent, go off-roading on BLM established routes, which there's several hundred miles of them out there. You can walk anywhere you want to. Shoot, geocache, off-road, and then again, you also have the freedom to go up to Joshua Tree National Park. You You have the freedom to pay your $15 entry fee. You have the freedom to pay your camping fees. You have the freedom to set your tent up anywhere they tell you to. You have the freedom to set your fire where they tell you to. You have the freedom to drive where they tell you to, and you have the freedom to walk wherever they tell you to, and you even have the freedom to go to the bathroom wherever they tell you to. Yes, sir.
And you can't pick up a rock or pick a flower.
That's right. Now there's two types of tourists. There's a tourist who are going to go to Joshua Tree National Park, whether the saddle area is inside the park or not. And then there's the others. And we are the others. And the only way we're going to save this area is to start making our voices heard. Now, how many of you have written your letter to the to the city council? What about the rest of you?
We just
Don't you
heard
care if this area is removed or not? If we lose this area, we only got a couple of claims left.
Okay, Jim, city council, Bodo, or who? Who do we write to?
All of them.
All of them.
I'm getting to that. All right.
City council can do that.
They can endorse
City
the
council
project.
can endorse the plan. That's why I'm going to go talk about it. If the environmentalists get out there to Dianne Feinstein's office or whoever and say, look, the city council agrees with this. They like the plan. That means everybody in 29 Palms likes the plan. Well, everybody in 29 Palms doesn't like the plan. And I don't think there's very many people in Yucca Valley that likes the plan. I have my business card up here. I want each and every one of you to pick it up, take it home with you, and then send me an email. My telephone number is also on there. If you don't have email, send me call me, and I will tell you who to write to. First, we're hitting the city council. Next, we're hitting the Chamber of Commerce because they've already endorsed the plan.
Bunch of tree hugging bunny lovers.
Once we have those two on our side, and note the Chamber of Commerce is only thinking about money, businesses. Now, as I was saying earlier, there's two types of people that come to this, or there's only one type of people that goes out here, and that's us type of people. All right? Now, if they close this area off, if they make it a wilderness area, not only will the city or the basin lose the $40 million, but they're going to also lose the revenue that's coming in here now. By people like you who stop in 29 Palms or Yucca Valley to get gas, buy beer, or even some of you staying in the hotels in the area. They're going to lose that revenue, and that's a lose-lose situation.
Jim, would it help for all of us to show up Monday night?
I was getting to that. Like I said, I'm going to be speaking before the city council on the 25th, 6 o'clock, 29 Palms, City Hall.
Adobe Road.
Is that Monday?
Any of you can make it?
Tuesday.
Great, because the more people are there, the more people that the city council can see who are against this plan. Once we get the city council on our side, and I think that can happen, like I said, the environmentalists cannot use the city council to say, hey, everybody in 29 Palms is for it. I'm going to work on the Chamber of Commerce. Once they're on our side, if they go on our side, then we start working on the county, then we start working on the state. Or, not the state, but our legislators that are up there, Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer. Believe it or not, they do pay attention to their constituents. And if they get enough letters saying, hey, we're against this program, why are you taking away all of our public land? They're going to listen to us. It was once said to me that every letter that they arrive in their office, they count as 1,000 people because that person is mad enough or whatever to for them to take notice of. If you take the time to write a letter to them and send it to them, your vote, that letter is worth 1,000 people to them. Now, I'm not a big fan of form letters, and I'm not a big fan of
Emails? Email?
not emails, but
Petitions.
partitions. Because I consider those the lazy people way of doing things. If you take the time to write that letter, then that's going to be noticed. Now, I would like to say that the 29 Palms Economic Commission and Joshua Tree National Park had an excellent opportunity to unite this basin behind them. Because nobody in 29 Palms wants to see wind turbines on the horizon, just like they don't want to see them out here or they want to see them in Yucca Valley. But instead, they decided to get greedy and try to make a grab for 104,500 acres for what I believe underlying motivations. Unfortunately, all they're going to do is divide this community. And long after this is over, there's going to be a lot of hard feelings between the divided communities. And of course, at the end, I will say thank you for your attention.